So, good day, class. So, this is our second lecture on software engineering. So, today we go into software development lifecycle, just to try to see the various software development life cycles that exist. To start, what is software development lifecycle? A software development lifecycle, which can also be termed as a process model, since the development, it goes through different processes and different stages. So that's why it's termed the process model. Is a methodological representation of activities involved in software development. So the activities in the methodological framework is what we know that what is known as software development, software lifecycle model. It represents all the models required to make all the methods. Excuse me, please. It represents all the methods required to make a software product transist through its life cycle stages, and it captures the structure in which these methods are undertaken. In other words, it maps the various activities performed on a software product from its inception to retirement. Different lifecycle models may plan the different development activities to phases in different ways. So we have two classes of software development lifecycle models. First is known as the prescriptive process models. Then we also have the evolutionary process models. Now, the descriptive process models try to prescribe what should be done, and maybe afterwards what should we go into, then afterwards what should we do, like you are prescribing something in a regular manner like that, while the evolutionary models tries to make software development or the software product itself evolve over time. Now, speaking about the prescriptive models and the evolutionary models, under prescriptive models we have the waterfall model. Now, the waterfall model is a type of descriptive model, like I said, that flows from one stage to another. All prescriptive models flows actually from one stage to another, so that is clear enough. But the most common one is known as the waterfall model. So there are 5 stages in the waterfall model. First stage is called communication. Now, there are various versions of waterfall models that have been introduced, various versions in different manner, but they all still follow the same logical pattern. The name may change, the nomenclature may be slightly different, but the flow still remains the same. For example, you may find some books that will tell you that the first stage of software development project is requirements gathering, followed by analysis, followed by modeling, construction. It's still the same thing. Now let me go through the one I have here. Communication. Under communication, you have project initiation and requirements gathering. Now, project initiation are the first stages, the first things you do when you're trying to make the right connections. You are trying to maybe seek information about the project you want to embark on. That's the initiation, the start. Now, of course, when you start, just like I said, in some phases, you will see, in some books, you will see this as communication, you just see it as requirement gathering. But this one is more encompassing to make it as communication. Under communication, we now have what? Requirements gathering. On this one, requirements gathering is very important. At the end of the day, the requirements are what you want your software, what you want to achieve with that software. So that is why it all falls under communication. Now, once we initiate the project, once we've gathered our requirements, next thing is to go into the planning stage. Now, a lot of things are involved in planning. Like I said, under planning, requirements gathering, planning. Some books you see things like maybe feasibility study. It's still part of planning. So you have estimation, scheduling, and tracking. Of course, feasibility study is also part of planning, where you want to make sure that your project is feasible under the various categories of feasibility studies. And then the scheduling, which is the timing. Scheduling also is part of feasibility study under times feasibility. So you want to make sure that this project can be achieved within the time frame that you wanted. Estimation, that's where you budget. How much do you want to spend on? It's not like you just keep spending, you just keep hiring software developers. You must know how much you want to spend in the development of a software. Then tracking, be able to track what are the things to put in place to know where you are in the various stages of your development. Are you, if you achieve this, then that as against the amount that you wanted to spend up to that stage must all flow, as well as the schedule. The three of them must flow. Then modeling. Now modeling is your designing the design of your system. Of course, in this particular model they put analysis, but later on you see that analysis is not only under modeling, but it's also part of planning too. It cuts across the two. It's just in the middle of planning and modeling. When we get to UP phases, you see what I'm talking about. So, but the most important thing to take out of modeling is design. We've spoken about design in the last class, but I was telling you that you must have your designs that have to make operational designs, your use case diagrams, all those kind of designs that shows your system, what your system is supposed to do. Construction, this is where the work is, of course. But then, as much as I say this is where the work is very important. At the end of the day, you have to build, but always not the most important. Is important, not to say it's not important, but the various stages of the other stages are equally important. I'm saying this because most people put emphasis on construction so much. Construction is the point where you code, where you code and you program and you basically create the software. Yes, it's important, but other phases are equally important. Now, you have testing to other construction. Yes, but testing is not just under construction. Testing is also part of deployment. It's just in the middle of construction and deployment. You see again when we get to UP phases. Of course, the deployment, where you want to deliver to the project to the owners of the project, you offer support, then you take feedbacks from the project so that you can then use it to improve on your software. So that's the waterfall model. Another model that is very important and very beautiful is the V model. Now, the V model is not really an administrative process, but tries to lay emphasis more on modeling, design, and testing. Testing is very important in V model, and if you want to understand software testing so much, V model is where you need to come to. Now, let's start again from requirement modeling. Now, requirement modeling, same thing as trying to gather our requirements, trying to basically make it coincide. We're able to know, okay, what do you want the software to achieve? After we model, we should have an architectural design. Now, the architectural design should be a layout. On your final projects, you must always draw an architectural design where we want to see, okay, to the layman, let's see the architecture of your system. That's what you always ask. They always ask a lot. What is your system architecture? System architecture should just be a layout, an overview. Okay, this goes from here to here. This perform this. Then we take this and we achieve this basic flow of the architecture of the system. After that, component design. Now, each object in the architecture forms a component. That is something to be achieved. So we then have our component design. So each component of your software will then be designed. Of course, after we design, next is to start coding. But the V model does not end there. Now it then goes back through testing. Now, when coding, you always test. Even if it is just x equals to y plus z that you wrote, you always want to test it. Even if it's just that one line. Of course, that's not the end goal, but you just want to test. Now, at that point when you're coding, you want to test each line of code that you're writing, and that will form the unit testing. At the end of the day, now, once you finish testing a unit, you finish testing a component. That is why you have component design over here. Once you tested a code, at the end of the day, for that particular module, you've tested that particular component. Now, same way, once you are done with the component code testing, and you are at component testing. Now, most important thing in component testing is, of course, you've tested each component and they are working on their own. Next thing is to then test how they fit in together within themselves. Once you're doing that, you've gone into integration testing. How do they integrate with themselves? And once you're testing that, you're also testing the architecture of the system. Now, once you are done with that, next thing is what system testing. You are testing the overall system. Does it work? Does it do? Does it represent what you hope to set out to gain? And while you are testing the system, you are testing the requirements of the system. You are testing the initial aim of the system. You want to know, have you achieved what you want to do? And at that point, you are testing the acceptance. The acceptance has to do with, do we meet up with the requirements? Can we deploy it effectively? What we need to deploy it? Is it working well? Considering the number of users we needed. So that is the vModel method of deployment. Another prescriptive method is known as the incremental model. Now, what incremental model says is this: we pick each module, each component of our system. We then go through the stage of communication. We plan for that particular module. We design, we model, just like what we have here. Is just that we're having various stages of waterfall models. So we plan for that particular module, we construct it, we test it, then we deliver it. Once we're done, that's the first increment. So once we're done with that particular module, we move to the next module. Afterwards, we keep doing that till we end up with a complete system. That is what the incremental model says. And all the waterfall model, the vModel, and the incremental model all fall under prescriptive model, because basically describe what to be done, and move to the next stage of what to be done, like that. Now, I'll continue in the next class. In the next video, I mean, not class. We're not done with this class.